everybody, I'm Chris. Thanks for watching today. So, man, the land of the fantasy football quarterback has gone a bit insane. And I have a question for you, a legit question. If Ryan Fitzpatrick can go all Blake Bortles on Monday night and dig himself a giant hole, but then almost dig himself all the way out and score 25 fantasy points, if Pat Mahomes can keep scoring 25 to 40 fantasy points every week, what do we need with the big name dudes at this position? Like, who is this Aaron Rodgers guy anyway? I mean, for this, we paid a top price in an auction or a draft? 6 touchdowns in 3 games? By today's standards, that's laughable. Pat Mahomes poops 6 touchdowns for breakfast. If Aaron Rodgers isn't giving me top 10 fantasy performances week after week, well, he must be hurt or he must be playing disastrously. I know what it looks like, relatively speaking. I know what all the other quarterbacks are doing. Well, I want to show you some plays from the game in Washington on Sunday that I think will put your mind at least somewhat at ease. But first, let me thank BetTSI for sponsoring us again today. BetTSI is where I have an account and I play the games every weekend. I really do. I've been playing there for 3 years. I just kind of don't think about it. I make a wager and there you go. You can actually start an account right now at BetTSI.com and get free deposit matching up to $500 when you use my promo code HarrisTube. They are secure. They have a really good app that works. They have a good website that works. Basically, it just works. So if you've been looking for a place to play the games, I really do recommend BetTSI.com. Now let's look at some A-Rod tape. I am not trying to tell you that Rodgers' knee isn't hurt because, of course it is. And this play, winds up getting called back by holding, but you can see his instincts are still to run. And in this case, you might make the argument he'd have scored if he wasn't hurt, but he will run. It hurts him. He's legitimately hurt. Of course he is. I just want to get away from this notion that Rodgers is so hobbled he's some kind of complete sitting duck and can't be effective. This is an incompletion, but what's important is that he isn't helpless. He feels pressure coming from the blind side there, and he's able to high step away out of trouble. This, of course, is not old A-Rod. Nobody's questioning this guy's toughness. He's the best player in the league. I'm just saying let's not overstate how his knee injury makes him not among the number 1 fantasy players at his position for the rest of the year, which that's where I still would rate him. His mobility limited. He still rolls right. A hard throw to make with all arm, right? 3rd and long. Tell me he can't zing it. That's a seed to Geronimo Allison. He's not comfortable. It's obvious. But he's still doing that. And there are throws like that all over Rodgers' game film the past couple of weeks. What went wrong for Rodgers and the Packers in week 3 wasn't about Rodgers. I don't know. I probably should have set these to music. Here's how the Packers ended their first drive. On a 3rd and long, and it's raining, but still, Randall Cobb, catch the ball. Cobb again, skidding to a stop, but A-Rod putting it right where he needs to put it, and Randall Cobb dropping it. It's overturned on replay, no catch. Lance Kendricks, scramble drill up the sideline, and Rodgers keeps himself alive like he does and makes an unbelievable throw, and it was Kendricks' only target of the game, and I think we understand why it was Kendricks' only target of the game. Yeah, it was raining, yes, and that certainly was a factor in the lack of production from the receivers. I can't tell you that Rodgers' doctors won't look at the knee and say it's much worse now. I have no idea, but he's out there, he's toughing it out. He's not helpless, and there were many, many more plays to be made, or it would have been a fantastic statistical day for Rodgers. He's still just better. He still just knows where to go with the ball. He can still extend plays a little bit. No question he's toughing it out. But barring some other medical revelation, I don't feel like he's putting himself at risk of getting crushed any more than most sort of statuesque quarterbacks do. And I still think he's a fine fantasy option. Now, Carson Wentz, after 1 game, maybe a little bit of a different story. I mean, only 11 fantasy points against the Colts, another rain game. Let's take a look at what we see from Wentz from week 3. I'm not trying to be such a fantasy hipster that I'll tell you, oh, Wentz was actually amazing in his debut. What I wanted to show you most of all was this first scramble. I think we can at least say that Wentz, for sure, trusts his surgically repaired knee, and so much good of what Wentz did last year, but also so much of what had got his ACL torn was extending plays like this one. If he can do this, that gives me a lot of hope. But this is a horrible play. I'm not going to make excuses. This isn't really even a disguised defense. Number 50 there for the Colts has Zach Ertz. It's man all the way, I guess. Wentz misreads it as zone, but the dude is standing right there. Wentz never looks off the receiver. It's an awful throw. Even this early completion, he's off the mark here. This is an amazing catch by Ertz up and behind his head. I guess we don't know on this play whether this is Wentz or maybe Ertz being off on his route. It's a great catch. What kind of hands does Zach Ertz have? But at the very least you say, okay, it's either a very inaccurate throw or two guys not quite on the same page. But all the wing you want is there, and Wentz was this close to an 80-yard touchdown, would have completely altered his fantasy day. This is a huge risk taken by the Colts safety, Malik Hooker, but in the end, a spectacular play to knock this away, or else Nelson Aguilar has a huge statistical day himself, and nobody is worried at all about Carson Wentz. Obviously, sometimes fantasy glory is just that far away. So Wentz is at the Titans this week, and I'm not trying to tell you that he looked perfect because he absolutely didn't. And I think I am going to have Aaron Rodgers rated near the very top of my quarterback ranks for this week against the Bills, and Carson Wentz probably has something to prove. Now, he's going to maybe get Alshon Jeffrey back. We don't really know. It's a possibility for this Tennessee game, and that could change the crew, and you conceivably change the results, and maybe it's not raining. But I think it's worthwhile to maybe give Wentz one more week. He's eventually should be back to being very good. It's the same offense. It should be just about the same weapons. But I imagine in this world where all quarterbacks score 1 million points, Wentz probably will be outside my top 10 for week 4. I wanted to wrap up the show by giving you kind of a one-play further proof with Tevin Coleman. I did a Tevin Coleman video segment on this YouTube channel last week, and I saw a play against the Saints that reinforced one thought that I gave you. Not that I don't like him, but just a thought that I gave you about Tevin Coleman. That video I did last week gave you evidence of what I like and don't like about Coleman, and on this red zone reception, if we freeze it right as he catches the ball and turns upfield, I think you'd say with that amount of room, you'd expect an NFL running back to score there, especially an NFL running back who's going to break the bank this winter, but you'd be wrong. Now, Coleman has really good speed, but he doesn't hit the Jets there. I guess he's thinking he can make a move, but that is not making a move. It's kind of a wet fart, and his fantasy owners are going to have to be happy with the one touchdown and the limited yards he scored against the Saints. And just by way of reinforcement of what it looks like when guys can't cut, here's Jonathan Williams in the same game. I'm going to make a move. I'm going to do it. And okay, people slip, but tackling yourself, doesn't impress coaches, doesn't impress film watchers. We do like the players who can spring in and out of cuts. And listen, last week I showed you a couple of plays where Coleman did do that. It's not like he never cuts, right? But I just sort of wanted to file it away for when we wonder why, when Devontae Freeman's fully healthy, he's the lead back to some degree in Atlanta, why maybe they trust him a little bit more, even if things aren't going perfectly, and why maybe when Tevin Coleman gets a new team, I might not be that enthusiastic about him. Depends on the landing spot, depends on what else is there. I think he's a good player, but I think maybe you see a portion of what's missing from making him a great player. Thanks for watching again today. Really appreciate you taking the time for this YouTube channel. I have to say, I would love it if you'd subscribe and click on the little bell, because that does let you know when we post new videos Monday through Thursday, all through the regular season. You will get some film proof to talk about why we like the players we like and the players we don't like, maybe why I tend to slag them. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.